In a world saturated with noise, distractions, and half-baked truths, where stories are spun faster than facts can breathe, and public opinion is shaped long before evidence even sees the light. We're not here to stir outrage. We're not playing sides, pushing narratives, or chasing clicks. We're here to cut through the fog, to bring the truth, raw, real, and often uncomfortable. Our judgments are built on transparency, logic, and actual evidence, not on assumptions, not on headlines, and definitely not on emotional bait. We're not here to tell you what to think. We're here to give you everything you need so you can decide what's real. Welcome to Truth Unfiltered with Critical Thinkers, where the truth is louder than the mob. In today's episode of Truth Unfiltered with Critical Thinkers, we're taking a look at a critical moment in media history, the Kim Soo Hyun scandal. This episode aims to explore how a rapid media storm unraveled one of Korea's most beloved celebrities, and in doing so, exposed the fragility of our moral frameworks, the dangers of unchecked digital platforms, and the consequences of living in a culture where outrage often trumps truth. In March 2025, actor Kim Soo Hyun became the center of a media frenzy, one that didn't just threaten to end his career, but pulled the curtain back on the architecture of public judgment itself. At the heart of this story lies a disturbing truth: the speed with which information is weaponized and the deep harm that follows, not only to Kim Soo Hyun, but to the trust between celebrities, fans, and the media, a trust already fraying in the digital age. We'll examine the ethical implications, the systemic failures, and the cultural conditions that allowed this to escalate. And maybe more importantly, we'll ask, how do we begin to fix a culture that punishes first and fact-checks later? Before we go forward, we need to go back. Let's rewind to the early days of the scandal. Back to the moment the first accusation hit. Back to the spark that ignited the firestorm. It started with a YouTube channel, a digital monolith known as the Garo Research Institute, or GSRI for short, a name familiar to anyone who follows Korean media scandals. Garo is no stranger to drama. In fact, it's built on it. A sensationalist investigative channel, it's known for dropping bombshells with little regard for verification. No real sourcing, no accountability, no editorial checks. And yet, millions tune in. It was on Garo's channel that accusations surfaced, suggesting actor Kim Soo Hyun was involved in a romantic relationship with fellow actress Kim Soo Hyun at a time when she may have been underage. No verified documentation, no verified images, just conjecture, carefully packaged with emotionally charged headlines and out-of-context photos. But in a digital world, starved for scandal, that was enough. The controversy began when Garo Research Institute, a YouTube-based channel known for its sensational exposés, accused Kim Soo Hyun of dating Kim Soo Hyun when the actress was underage. The accusations, though based on conjecture and vague insinuations, spread like wildfire. Garo's sensationalist approach included emotionally charged language and out-of-context images. There was no direct evidence linking Kim Soo Hyun to any criminal or ethically wrong activity, but that didn't stop the claims from gaining traction. No charges, no lawsuits, no named sources. But in today's digital landscape, accusation is currency. And Garo? They were cashing in. The rise of Garo tells us something uncomfortable, that platforms like YouTube, built to inform, entertain, and democratize speech, have become breeding grounds for outrage-fueled profit. The rise of Garo highlights the dangers of digital platforms prioritizing sensational content over responsible journalism. Without a proper investigation or any real evidence, the accusations were amplified and spread rapidly. The ethical dilemma here is clear. Journalistic integrity was completely absent. Garo, despite its claims of being a research-driven entity, displayed none of the standards of responsible reporting. These aren't just bad actors. They're part of a larger algorithmic ecosystem, one that rewards chaos, penalizes nuance, and prioritizes speed over truth. It's a reminder that platforms like YouTube can easily become breeding grounds for content creators who exploit the trust of their audiences for financial gain. And when unchecked, this can have dire consequences. There's another force at work here. Not just platforms, not just creators, but the fans, the digital mob. There's also the issue of presumption of guilt. In traditional legal settings, the principle is innocent until proven guilty. However, in today's media environment, it's often flipped to guilty until proven innocent. This inversion undermines the very foundation of due process and the fairness we expect from our media. In this environment, there's no time for truth, no space for doubt. The first narrative becomes the only narrative. The immediate failure here is platform impunity. YouTube and similar platforms have little accountability for the spread of unverified content. Garo Sero's history of irresponsible reporting didn't lead to any real action being taken against them. This isn't just about one channel, it's about the systemic problem of how easily misinformation can spread across digital media. One of the most dangerous dynamics in all of this? We believe too easily. We want to believe. Another issue is public gullibility. The viral nature of online content means that even the most far-fetched accusations can gain traction if it is told first. People will ride or die on the first version of what they hear. And if legacy media won't step in to correct the record, then the person in question is guilty in the eyes of the didactic audience. The failure of mainstream media to offer counterpoints or clarification only amplified the situation, leaving Kim Soo Hyun to defend his reputation in an environment where facts were obscured by sensationalism. With no evidence, with no charges, Kim Soo Hyun watched everything he worked hard to build burn to ashes. As the accusations continued to spread, some of Kim Soo Hyun's once loyal fanbase turned on him. Fan accounts were deleted, and international fans trended hashtags calling for an apology, even though no concrete evidence had been provided. The reaction was swift, and for many, unforgiving. What does that say about the nature of fame, of the fandom, of us as members of society? The second wave of this storm didn't come from tabloids, platforms, or YouTubers, but from fans. As the accusations continued to spread, some of Kim Soo Hyun's once loyal fanbase turned on him. Fan accounts were deleted, and international fans trended hashtags calling for an apology, even though no concrete evidence had been provided. The reaction was swift, and for many, unforgiving. Fan culture today isn't passive. It's organized, mobilized, vigilant, but it's also volatile. The same fans who praise stars with gifts, trends, and charity donations can pivot in an instant, turning a public figure into a personal betrayal. This is where fandom morphs from admiration into entitlement. Fans felt an overblown sense of ownership over the lives of public figures. This sense of entitlement is exacerbated when stars like Kim Soo Hyun don't immediately address the allegations, an understandable choice given that no charges had been filed and no evidence had surfaced. This led to feelings of betrayal from fans, who had placed him on a pedestal as a symbol of perfection. And here lies the paradox. The more perfect we expect celebrities to be, the more we strip them of the right to be human. This is a prime example of parasocial violence, where fans' emotional attachments to celebrities turn into rage or disappointment when their expectations aren't met. The ethical issue here is the dehumanization of public figures. Parasocial violence is emotional violence. It's not physical, but it wounds just the same. It turns affection into aggression, support into surveillance, fandom into fanaticism. Celebrities are not commodities to be consumed and discarded at will. They're human beings deserving of fairness, respect, and the presumption of innocence. The rush to judgment by fans illustrates how quickly cancel culture takes hold, leading to people being tried and convicted in the court of public opinion based on little more than rumor. This isn't just about fans lashing out. It's about the machine that trains fans to think this way. We're taught to love stars until the second they disappoint us. Then we're taught to destroy them. The fan culture surrounding celebrities often treats them as idealized versions of themselves, and when the reality doesn't match up, it leads to intense feelings of betrayal. The echo chambers in fan communities amplify this, punishing dissent and disregarding alternative viewpoints. This tribalism is further fueled by social media algorithms, which reward outrage and sensationalism. Here's what makes it worse. Once the outrage starts, it's fed by the system. Algorithms boost the loudest, most angry voices. Dissenters get drowned out. Facts fade, and what remains is noise. But what of the corporate side of this crisis? The brands, the broadcasters, the industry players who abandoned Kim Soo Hyun without proof. not because they believed the accusations, but because they feared you. Now that we unpacked the chaos that digital platforms and unverified allegations brought to the surface and exposed the emotional violence buried beneath fandom's betrayal, let's shift our focus to the corporate machine, the brands, advertisers, and industry executives who abandoned Kim Soo Hyun in the name of risk management. They abandoned Kim Soo Hyun, not because the truth was known, but because a rumor looked expensive. In the wake of the controversy, Kim Soo Hyun saw a rapid loss of brand deals. Even though no official charges were filed, companies quickly distanced themselves from him, pulling ads and issuing vague PR statements. Why? Because in today's entertainment industry, reputation isn't just fragile, it's monetized. And when scandal breaks, the safest move isn't to investigate, it's to disappear. This highlights the entertainment industry's tendency to prioritize reputation management over ethical responsibility. The entertainment industry's swift response to abandon Kim Soo Hyun is a troubling example of presumption of guilt by association. Let's call this what it is: cowardice disguised as strategy. A brand's image matters. But what kind of image is built on panic, on abandoning people before you know what actually happened? Brands were more concerned with protecting their image than standing by their talent. This commodification of celebrities reduces them to marketable products, disposable the moment a scandal arises. One day, you're the face of a campaign. The next, you're a PR liability. This is the industry's formula. First, partner with talent, then reap the benefits of their fame. Finally, drop them the moment things get complicated. No questions, no vetting, no nuance. The industry's reaction was based on fear of public backlash rather than a thoughtful assessment of the truth. Brands often choose to disassociate from controversy without investigating the validity of the claims. When did reputation management replace moral responsibility? For many of these companies, the decision was simple. Their PR teams calculated the optics and chose to sacrifice a person for the illusion of control. But here's what they never consider. Every time this happens, every time a brand or network caves to outrage without evidence, it makes future cases even harder to handle with integrity. This rush to judgment not only damages the individual involved, but perpetuates a culture where media narratives drive corporate actions. The Kim Soo Hyun case is a critical moment for understanding the fragile intersection between celebrity culture, media ethics, and social media dynamics. It reveals how quickly a person's reputation can be destroyed by unfounded allegations, and how the reactions that follow can often be disproportionate and harmful. From sensationalist channels like Gerosero to the abandonment by fans and brands, each aspect of this case highlights the need for a more ethical, empathetic, and responsible approach to how we engage with media. Kim Soo Hyun isn't the first celebrity this has happened to, and if nothing changes, he won't be the last. But maybe, this moment can be a turning point. But calling out the problem isn't enough. If we don't change the way we engage, these cycles will continue. And they won't just destroy celebrities. They'll destroy the credibility of media, the sanity of fandoms, and our shared sense of justice. But what can we do about it? What are the possible solutions? How do we fix this broken system? We need stricter regulations for digital platforms. If content creators repeatedly violate journalistic standards, they should face consequences. Platforms must implement fact-checking initiatives to prevent the spread of rumors. We also need to emphasize digital literacy education so that audiences can critically assess the content they encounter. The first step is structural. Platforms like YouTube, Twitter, and TikTok profit from controversy, but rarely take responsibility when misinformation spreads. That has to change. We need policy-based enforcement of content standards, strikes or demonetization for repeat defamers, partnerships with fact-checking groups, and transparency reports on takedowns and error corrections. And we need education to match it. Digital literacy in schools, public campaigns, tools that help people tell the difference between commentary and evidence. Because without that, we're handing everyone a match in a room soaked with gasoline. Fan communities must also do their part. They need to adopt ethical guidelines that promote fact-checking, empathy, and dialogue. Fans should understand that celebrities are human beings, capable of mistakes, but also deserving of fairness. Fandom isn't inherently toxic. In fact, it can be one of the most powerful forces for good in media culture. Fans raise money, they protect their stars, they build global legacies, but that power can also become a weapon. So what can fans do better? Pause before reposting accusations. Create safe spaces for nuance and disagreement. Reject mob behavior and doxing. Promote empathy over outrage. You don't have to defend everything your favorite star does, but you also don't need to destroy them when you feel disappointed. Additionally, social media platforms must take responsibility for limiting the spread of viral hate and ensuring that damaging narratives aren't amplified without verification. Finally, the entertainment industry needs to adopt a more principled, thoughtful approach to handling allegations. Brands should commit to investigating claims before severing ties and develop long-term relationships with talent based on mutual respect. They should focus on building trust with both their talent and their audience, moving away from quick, image-driven decisions. Agencies, brands, broadcasters, your job isn't just to sell a face, it's to protect the person behind it. Let's normalize waiting for facts, supporting talent during uncertainty, creating contracts with built-in due process protections, and training PR teams in ethical crisis communication, not just optics. The entertainment industry created these idols. Now it has to stand by them with more than a hashtag. This case is a stark reminder that in our media landscape, it's not just about what we consume, but how we consume it, and the ethical responsibility we all share in protecting the truth. We all watch, we all share, we all click, and every one of those clicks fuels a system, for better or worse. So we ask you, can we consume slower? Can we question harder? Can we think longer before we join the pile-on? Because how we consume media reflects how we treat each other, and the future of entertainment, of truth, depends on us choosing better. Because in the story of Kim Soo Hyun, we're not just watching a scandal, we're watching a line in the sand, and the world is deciding which side to stand on. Because this isn't just about one scandal, it's about the system that keeps repeating itself. And unless we change it, we're all complicit. At Critical Thinkers, we stand by one thing, truth that doesn't flinch. Because the moment we stop questioning the system, we become the very system we hate. You're tuned into Truth Unfiltered, brought to you by Critical Thinkers, where the truth speaks louder than the mob. Like, share, subscribe, not just to game the algorithm, but to stay awake in a world built to numb you. Thank you for listening. We'll see you next time.